Hello, everyone. We're back with Ken Dombrowski, Executive Life Coach and Master Hypnotist. And today I want to touch on a subject that comes up in a lot of our videos, but we don't have videos on, and that's habits. And I want to start with bad habits and what you believe about bad habits, why they're easy to adopt, hard to get rid of, everything.
Well, this is kind of the plight of human nature, sadly, is that bad habits are real easy to form and really hard to let go of. Good habits are really hard to form and real easy to let go of. But today we want to focus on the bad habits. Okay. Well, we have a lot of influencing factors. I mean, nothing in human behavior is one thing, this thing that is responsible for that. What we find is that there's a multitude of possible combinations of things that we experience in our life, and they all kind of accumulate, and that's what creates behavior. Well, can talk a whole bunch about just your environment as a child. Bad habits. Bad habits as a child, you're watching your parents do what they do. And those are going to feel familiar and comfortable. So if you watch your parents smoking cigarettes, that's a bad habit. Drinking alcohol, that's a bad habit. So as a child, you're going to tend to role model, your subconscious mind is going to role model the benefits and rewards of bad habit across a lifetime. So it's not like they just smoked one cigarette and had a fun time. You watch that parent smoke cigarettes every day several times throughout the day. So now that person is likely to grow up and smoke cigarettes too. You kind of see that in families where the whole family smokes. There might be one outlier who doesn't smoke, or an entire family of, I hate saying this, but an entire family like of alcoholics. Mm-hmm. Bad habit of drinking alcohol. And there might be one outlier there, but everybody else is going to be a heavy drinker. Well, even though that person grew up in an environment of heavy smoking and they don't smoke, they still have planted seeds in their subconscious programming that bad habits are better for me than good habits because it's more familiar, and whatever's familiar is emotionally comfortable. So they're looking for that emotional comfort, and that comes real easy with bad habits. Now, sadly, also, bad habits tend to feel good. Eat a bunch of sugar. It tastes great. It feels good, but it's a bad habit. Smoking cigarettes makes you feel good. There's a lot of people don't understand this. What happens in the mind, in the brain, actually, the chemicals that surge from smoking a cigarette. Every puff, you get a dopamine hit, an endorphin hit, and an oxytocin hit, and probably even some more brain chemicals that I'm not aware of because I'm not a doctor. But you get all this excitement that happens just from one puff of a cigarette. It only lasts about 2 or 3 seconds, but it's still a positive result from a negative thing. So we feel empowered by this, and then sadly that becomes our life, is looking for empowerment through negatives. Oh, see, now I kind of get a little better understanding as to how that can go and keep on. It just runs away from you. Mm-hmm. So then one bad habit tends to beget another bad habit. So, for example, if someone is a heavy drinker, chances are they're going to also be a heavy smoker. Mm-hmm. And then, we used to live in Las Vegas, where the gambling was everywhere, and the majority of alcoholics that I knew, they drank heavy, they smoked heavy, and they gambled heavy. Mm-hmm. So you had this trifecta of awfulness. And guess what? Those people also were not likely to eat healthy. Mm-hmm. Chances are they ate a lot of junk food, a lot of deep fried foods, a lot of instant satisfaction type, instant gratification kind of stuff. So you see how bad habits are really created out of that tiny little burst of reward that you get from doing it. So if you do something bad, you feel like you got away with something cool. So those are things that we're developing and keep on going.
I think another thing I think of when we talk about stuff like this that most people may not consider is I always look at divorced kids, because if you know, like most divorced kids, when they get into a fight, they fight dirty. Like they can be a little bit more mean because they've watched people fight in their childhood. So I always say that like divorced kids fight dirty because they watch this bad habit of people having a negative conversation instead of just trying to naturally communicate, because they watched a relationship like crumble. So I think there's so many different forms in which you can find bad habits that really do stem from childhood, because almost every single call I take about smoking, why'd you start smoking? Oh, my parents smoked. My sister was smoking in the car. I just did it because everybody else in my family was doing it. That is the number one reason. It is never, it's very rarely someone just decided to pick up a cigarette completely alone and no one else in the family smoked. I don't even think I've heard that one yet. So
No,
I think that's all right, but it does really have to do a lot with whatever started in the childhood. Overeating too, that's a huge one, but...
Oh, well, overeating or eating bad as a habit, as a bad habit, is really easy because we get a lot of clients that come to us and they say, well, when I was a kid, we ate fun stuff. So we would go to McDonald's because McDonald's was fun food. We'd get pizza every Friday night or Saturday night was absolutely going to be pizza night. And then after pizza, they watched a movie, and that movie contained popcorn and candy. And then might even be some ice cream involved. So you see all these rewards that came from eating foods, and the ones that are the foods that are most triggering are sugary foods, fatty foods, and salty foods. Those three. So like ice cream, for example, is two of the three. Ice cream is this perfect combination of fat and sugar. So that is so exciting to the brain that it says, let's keep doing more of that. Mm-hmm. Something that feels that good, we got to keep doing. And it took no effort. That's another part of bad habits, is we tend to find that bad habits are also formed from minimal effort. So I do this all the time in a smoking cessation in the office. I have a cigarette right here. Now, all the effort that I need to make in order to get a dopamine hit, endorphin hit, and oxytocin hit is just go like this. Boom, that's it. That was minimal effort.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're sick, or if you have a broken arm or a broken leg, you can still figure out a way to just do that little bit right there, and it'll make you feel good. So when we think about good habits, they tend to take more effort. Mm-hmm. So they tend to die faster. But that's another video, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, also, it's like, it's kind of, we're dancing around the word nostalgia here. That's kind of what it feels like when you're talking about the childhood sense of things. Mm-hmm. It's just nostalgia. Like, bad habits are formed from nostalgia. That's how I feel about it, because that's something we even discussed in the habitual smokers video that we had, is like, it's even nostalgic for you. You were never a smoker, but the smell is nostalgic. It can bring you back to your childhood. So it's like almost just a connection to your younger self when things may have been easier, even though you have this bad habit now, so.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's I never really looked at it like that from that point of view, but you nailed it. Perfect.
Thank you. Well, okay, so we discussed like how they form, and that kind of just really does tie into why they're so hard to get rid of too, though, right? Like, it's just a matter of identifying, understanding, and letting go and retraining. It sounds like a lot of steps, and it is, but it's kind of simple once you get into it, I think.
Well, it's simple yet complicated,
right?
Kind of thing. We have to identify where it started, identify what keeps it going, whatever those habits are, and then that way we know what we kind of have to reverse engineer out of and then reprogram. Yeah,
I always say identify, resolve, retrain, and then make sure that it's solidified for the future. Because again, a big part of our program is making sure that you're not set up just for feeling better right now, but that it stays this way for an extended period of time.
Definitely.
So I always stress that as much as I can, that we're not just perfect, your problem's fixed today, bye. It's no, we want you to stay this way as long as possible. That's why you keep your hypnosis tracks, why you get all the workshops that you do, because we want to make sure that this is as long lasting of a change as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely. Yep, that's exactly what we're all about.
Well, thank you so much for that information, Ken.
No problem. My pleasure.
If you need to break a bad habit, call us today. Thank you for watching.